Hello and welcome to this video where I am going to show you how to create this kind of audio reactive shapes inside Ableton Live. So Ableton Live Suite comes with a package which is named Max for Live. So this is what I am using to create these shapes. So inside Max for Live I am using a specific package which is called Jitter. So this is what I am using to create this. So these audio reactive shapes are taking information about the spectrum. In other words, I can vary the low frequencies. I can make it react to the low frequencies or to the high frequencies of the mids. I can also make it reactive to each track, so I can put this little program that we are going to build in a specific track. So, and you can turn on and off different shapes. For example, here I am going to make it reactive to these drums that I have in this track. And so as an example, you see that we're going to be able to change also the 3D kind of shape. Like this, for example, is a torus. I can also change to, well, I am making it react to the mids, to the highs, and I can change my shape. This is a plane. I also can switch to a sphere or a cylinder. So there's a bunch of shapes that you can use. For example, this one is also cool. So you can see that the shapes are pretty reactive. They really catch the amplitude information about the audio that comes from the audio. So let's stop this and let's get prepared to create this patch. And okay, first thing to do, you're going to look for in Max for Live, you're going to look for Max Audio Effect. Once you load it, in order to open this, press this icon, and then the patch is going to pop up. So this is the patch, the basis patch where we are going to build our composition, our patch. So press Command N, or if you're in Windows, Control N, in order to create a new object. And here you're going to tap the following. So this is JIT.GL point grid shape. This is the name of the object which is going to create our 3D shape. So we're going to place it there. That's better, a little bigger. So we're going to tap this attributes in there. So add lighting / enable space 1. It means our lights are enabled. And so we're going to have an effect like a shade. Later, we're going to tap the name of another attribute. So tap add draw to AMP. So what this attribute means is that our shape is going to be drawn in a specific, in the object that has the same name. So we're going to create that object, which is JIT.world Dodo, this is the name just I gave it, at enable 1, later an attribute at erase / color. This is the name, this attribute is the background color. It refers to background color, and I'm going to make it black. So this 4 numbers means black. 0001, later at name, this is going to be the name of that specific object, and the name is AMP. So, and at floating 1, which means this is a floating it's a floating window. So remember, the name of this window, of this object, which is going actually to render the shape, is AMP. And since I said draw to AMP my grid shape right here, and the scripting name of my JIT world is also AMP, it means that they are already connected, and somehow they're connected. So this is telling to JIT world to draw this shape in that window. Okay, later we are going to create another object. So this is a filter, SVF tilde. So this is a filter. This is a filter that we're going to use in order to, well, to differentiate the different frequencies, ranges of frequencies that comes from our music. This is our audio signal from the track. We're going to connect it to the filter, and we need to amplify that signal. So we need to make sure that we're going to be able to let's pass or not each band. Once we can separate our 3 bands in low, mids, and highs, we're going to create this object which is called peak amp. It is going to detect the maximum amplitude of a signal. In other words, peaks, or, well, yeah, transients. So we're going to have each one of these detectors for each band, and later we're going to have this object which is going to actually to scale our signal, the amplitude of that signal. So once we detect the signal, that peak, we're gonna scale it. We're gonna make it louder, actually, that value, not the signal per se, just the value, in order the changes to be more noticeable. So we're going to pack in one single message these 3 values. So we're gonna get a message that has 3 elements, and where each element is going to represent an axis of the 3D shapes, you will see. So first, let's enable this attribute which is called scale. This is an attribute of the JIT.GL grid shapes. So you see that when I change it, I am modifying. In order to make my shape reactive to audio, I need to modify its dimension X, Y, and Z. That's clear. So I'm going to make to correspond the values coming from the peak amp, in other words, bads, mids, and highs, to these values. And this is what I did by connecting these values to the scale attribute of the shape. So pcam needs a bang in order to work. We're going to send pcam a bang for each frame in this movie. So this object, it's going to receive the bangs that S bangs are sending. Now we're going to create a toggle object, which is going to allow us to turn on and off the pcamp objects. We're going to connect these toggle objects to the right inlet of this object, which is a star tilde. So these toggle objects are going to send 0 or 1. When they are on, they are sending the number 1, and when they are off, they are sending zeros to this object. We need a way to turn on or off our shape. So later, let's gonna create this message, which is enable. And this message connected to a toggle as well is going to allow me to turn on or off my shapes. So if this shape is off, it's going to disappear. If it is on, voila, it is going to be there. So it is going to allow me to take the object out or in the scene. So same for the JIT world object. When it is off, the object is going to stop rendering. So you can see that actually there is nothing what I just did in this user interface. So let's take care of that. Let's take care of this. Let's enable our ranges. So now it's working. It seems okay. And when I stop, this is disappearing. Okay, everything seems to work properly. So I will start creating a better user interface. Since you saw already, I couldn't access those controls. So everything which is on the top of this patch, it's going to be displayed in my Ableton effect. So this is what I'm gonna put everything that I'm going to want to manipulate on the top of this patch. So I'm pressing Control or Command C these comments in order to remember which one of these things is doing. So these toggles are activating my pcamp objects in the 3 bands of the spectrum: lows, mids, and highs. Well, I also want to put on the top of this patch this control, which is going to allow me to modify the scale of the shape, and as well of this control, which is going to allow me to turn on and off the shape. And now I will add everything which is here to presentation mode. So let's select everything. And once, I right click and let's press add to presentation. All right. If you want to remove it, just do the same thing. Now, press this presentation button and you see that now you're going only to be able to visualize the objects that I added to my presentation. So Now let's create a texture. This object Jitter.gl point texture, it's going to allow me to add a movie, to project a movie actually on the 3D shape. So this other object Jitter.playlist allows me to actually to load a movie, to play it. So I will connect this object to my Jitter.gl texture. Just notice that this texture, it's named the same way that the Jitter.gl point grid shape object. Both objects are named Dodo. Okay, that is connecting them. So this attribute called Dodo that I just created is connecting actually also the texture object with the shape. Okay, this is going to ensure that the movie is going to be projected on this shape, like if it was a screen, kind of screen. Yeah, it's more complex than that, but let's say it that way. And I will add this object to my presentation, to my user interface. So I can activate here I can play different movies and change it on the wherever I want. Okay. So next, let's activate this, let's bring up this attribute control, which is called erase color. So if I want to change the background color of the patch easily, I can do it also using this, the value of this attribute. Okay, so right click and press the little arrow, and you will have access to all the attributes of any Max object. Okay, and if you press over whichever, you will have this little object that allows you actually to change the value of this attribute. It's the same that writing actually add and later the name of the attribute and later the value. It's another way to do the same thing. Okay, so GL color allows me to change the color of the shape. And let's bring up this other attribute of the shape that is called shape. And this attribute here is going to allow me to change actually the shape. So I got a torus, and this is the way I change the shape. Now it is a cylinder, a plane, cone, capsule. Well, there's many to choose here. Okay, next thing, let's have the presentation. This guys, let's bring up another attribute. So it's dimensions. So the dimensions allows me to actually scale the shape dimensions. Let's also, well, let's create a more comfortable arrangement. These things, I am not using them anymore. So in order not to visualize them, I'm going to put them at the bottom of the patch, and let's create more comfortable user interface. So this, I was talking about this dimension attribute. So this is actually this is an OpenGL attribute actually, and it's, let's put it in simple words, the quantity of vertex that my shape has. So let's just take into account that if you have a sphere and your dimensions are like 4 on 4, it is not going to look like a sphere. For more information about this, you can refer to the OpenGL Red Book to understand what vertex are. And so position is going to allow me to change actually where in the space the shape is going to live. So now if I change to presentation mode, well, it is messy. I should have actually done this arrangement in presentation mode. Now I gotta do it again. So let's change and okay guys, you can create now your user interface and just place the elements in whichever way is comfortable for you. So this patch is almost finished. So let's just create another feature for this patch. This is the JIT.AnyPoint drive object, which is going to allow me to animate actually my shape in an interesting way. It is going to be I'm going to be able to rotate it in different ways. So this message turn 000 means you're not going to turn. This other message turn 1 it means you're going to turn in your 3 axes like X, Y, and Z. And let's see now, what else can I do? I will select actually 0 or 1, and this is because I want to turn on or off the animations. So I will say if a toggle sends a 1, so this message turn 111 is going to be sent to an drive, and my shape is going to turn actually. And if the toggle sends 0, so the shape is going to stop. And okay, now I will get this attribute from JIT.AnyPoint drive. This is a speed. This is actually the speed. I'm creating here a comment with command. So this speed attribute is going to allow me to terminate the speed of the rotation. So, and the toggle is gonna on or off this rotation. Let's put a torus shape here in order to make clear how it is how this animation behaves. So let's place it in here. Let's augmentate the speed. Voila. And now it is turning in its 3 axes. And let's turn it off. Turn it off, and okay. Now it's off. Now let's bring up another attribute from JIT.World. It's called full screen. So and now I can create my shape in full screen mode. So this is an independent window. Remember, if you want to project this in a, I don't know, in a concert, just you can put this window and you can project only that window. Okay, that's the way we do it. So the last arrangements in my user interface, and that's it. Almost finished. And now let's see if it's working okay, if it is looking okay. And yeah, okay, looks good to me. Let's important, just make it to open in presentation mode. Yeah, you gotta activate that, just because if you don't open your patch in presentation mode, you're gonna see just the messy cables. And there it is. Okay, what's going on? Let's everything is, I mean, everything which is I'm visualizing has have to be actually here. So my movie player is so big, it doesn't fit in here. So I'm just not going to repeat everything. I'm just going to leave it like this for this time. And okay, now it must work if I turn this edition mode off by clicking here. Okay, voila, this is how I want it to be. And okay, let's try our new model. Let's activate the shape. Let's turn it on. Oh, it is nothing in there. Okay, now there it comes. Okay, there you go. Now let's make React our low. The shape will be reactive to the low frequencies when I do this. As you can see now, the mids and the highs. So, and that's it. The shape is ready, the patch as well. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. So let me know if you have some questions. I know this was so fast and I didn't see things in deep mode, so I hope that my English was clear enough. If not, well, I did my best.